middle sun swings.
We should all, as fathers, be the wind beneath our children's wings. We should all strive to do that. I have in the studio. I got some good people in the studio. You know, Jamie I've known for a long time. Brother Manuel, who just stepped in the studio. I just met him, but he is such an impressive young man that, you know, I know that him and I are going to do great things for the community. And it's just an honor to have him here. Now, quick story how I met Manuel. I have a young lady named Nora who works for me. And apparently she was at Dunkin' Donuts one day, and Manuel, you know, he's a street person. He likes to talk to anybody. He'll talk to anybody. He'll give anybody a good word. So one time him and Nora got together. They were talking, and I guess he impressed her so much. He said, "You got to meet my boss." And she came to the office, and she said, "Yeah, this guy here, he talks about his program, the fatherhood program, and he does videos." I said, "He does videos? I need a video done of this project that I'm doing." I said, we called him in. He came in, he told his story. I was like, man, I said, "You're going to be a part of this." I told him that day. I said, "You're going to be a part of what we doing," because I felt the energy. I felt the realness. I felt that we were of the same mindset. So it's an honor to have you on the show today, Manuel.
Yeah.
And, I just want you to relay the story of, well, first of all, tell us about yourself and what you do, and, segue into that tremendous story that you told me about getting the custody of your daughter and all the things that you had to go through to be a single father.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you
First
too,
of
bro.
all, my name is Manuel.
Manuel, I'm sorry.
Manuel Moore, the owner and founder of Fatherhood Talk Live, support groups virtually for fathers. Right now, I'm working on my podcast, and you inspired me. I didn't know this whole set got me, really inspired. So I want to say meeting your assistant is just one of many people I meet in Poughkeepsie. Awesome to meet all the fathers around the world, whether you a full-time father, part-time father, stay-home father, stepfather. If you're making an impact on children's lives, I like to salute you today on Father's Day and keep up the good work. I also want to salute the brothers that's locked down who still, due to their situation, is making an impact in the kid's life. Because, I remember when my baby's mother was in prison, she called every day. And I was so impressed with that. Like, she didn't let her situation keep her from contacting the kid, and I made it available. They also have what you call televisits through video. As the agency that first introduced me, off the top of my head, I can't tell you the name, but it was Rikers Island had the program where you can talk to your child through a television and video. And that's how she stayed in contact. So it's not an excuse. Even if you lock down, stay vigilant and stay in your kid's life. And I just want to say salute, man. When you come home, they'll be there and they'll be happy to see you. God bless. I started Fatherhood Talk Live one day. Shout out to Osborne Association, who I work with, who definitely make an impact on society by helping ex-felons come home and have livable wages. I was one of the guys that hooked up into the program, and I did well. It helped me support my child on a part-time job. Awesome program. Shout out to Ms. Gaines, the CEO. One day I was just working. I was like, God, I need a name. I want to be creative. I used to do artist management. I wanted to do something creative, so I needed a name that I can believe in and inspire me. And he said, Fatherhood Talk Live. And I was like, wow, yeah, okay, that's what I know. I'm basically doing that right now. I was in my child's life since she was born, And the first time I went to family court was about 6 months. Me being a dad, I had a little dispute with the mother, and I didn't argue with her. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go to family court. It was a turbulent experience, man. Bronx Family Court is really trying, but I got through it, and I just want to share my experience right now. First of all, the first experience I had with Bronx Family Court was that I had a magistrate, right? Yeah, and she asked me to fill out a paper. I filled out the paper, and then she came by. She snatched it out of my hand, real nasty. And I said, oh, you know what? I don't want to deal with her. So I got on my computer, and I wrote a letter, and the next court date, she said, oh, Mr. Moore, I see you have a problem with me. Would you like to stay? No, thank you. I'll move to the next one. So that showed me that I had the powers. I didn't have to be a victim. I have a process. I have power in this process. I'm not going to be just sitting back and letting anything happen. And that was the first time I really felt empowered. I was living with my baby's mother, and she didn't like that. She was like, why does he have to be in my house? Because the judge said, well, isn't that where he was when the child was born? So let's keep that connection. So she didn't care for that. So the first thing she did was put a fake domestic charge on me. So I was shift to DV court, family court, and domestic violence together. I forget the name. I think it's called DV family court. And that experience was rough. I had beat the case, and before I know it, there was another one. And I seemed to be, every time I was in family court, DV court, fighting cases. But one thing I did do was stay vigilant. I showed up on time to family court, and I stayed in the process. That's the most important thing for people that's fellas or fathers that's in family court. One of the things you must do is stay vigilant. You must continue. You must fight.
Amen.
Yes, my sister said fight. You must fight. And the fight is not easy. I through my experience, 8 years fighting for my daughter custody, I never felt like I wanted to give up, but I felt like, I needed an outlet. And then I had a brother, he told me, and this is where the support comes in. He said, Manuel, get you an outlet, because once you leave court, you're going to be so angry about the procedures and the process and the biasness that you're going to be angry. And it did happen to me. Thank God I had good lawyers. God played a part. I had outstanding lawyers. Matter of fact, I had two of the best lawyers in family court. One passed away, God bless his soul, helped me get custody, Mr. Madonna. And my first family court lawyer was Mr. Gryfinger, and I want to shout him out because he was a very classy guy. He always let me participate in speaking. So he's one of the few lawyers that let me actually speak to the judge, because they don't usually let you talk to the judge. So when he felt like I was going astray, he would tap my leg. I got it from here. So I like to tag team. We were tag teaming. What happened is I started with 1 hour visitation. I couldn't even take my daughter home. I played with her in the hallway.
How old was she?
At that time, she was, that's a good question. She was 2. I believe she was 2 or 3. Probably 2.
Okay.
And I used to play with her in the hallway. I couldn't take her home. Then I went from 1 to 3 hours. So I still couldn't take her home because, actually I did take her home, but I didn't have much time because I lived maybe 40 minutes away and then another 40 minutes to bring her back. So I used to take her to McDonald's on Westchester Avenue. Unfortunately, my baby's mother, she had her own personal issues, and one of them was she was always late. So it got to the point where I'm always sitting in a hallway. I'm always sitting somewhere waiting like I had a life. So I took it to court, and I had something put in the visitation order that says if she was late, I keep the child for extra day, right? So now I'm keeping the child more like half of the time because I first originally asked for joint custody and she didn't go for it. And I just also want to share that if you're not married and you have a child with a woman and you guys are not married, even if you live together, custody is not established until it's on the books. I didn't know that, but I just want to share that because...
Okay, define that. Custody is not established. How do you establish custody?
First of all, even if the mother has physical custody, custody is not established. So what that means is until it's on the books. Until it's on the books, then it's not established. So that means I can say, you know what, I want custody at any time, but you gotta remember something. The court is set up for, especially little girls, but both kids, boys and girls, is set up for the mother. It's geared towards the mother. So for the father to come in and say, you have to have a good reason, right? So I was fine. I had a daughter. I was fine with her being with the mother.
Hold up. I'm still foggy on this. So the father, if the father wants complete custody or joint custody, he has to establish a reason why he wants that?
No, what happened is I asked her for joint custody. When I came to court, that was one of the first things I did after visitation. Or actually, it was before visitation. Right off the bat, I asked for joint custody. She didn't agree. So once she didn't agree, now because she has the physical custody, now the ball is in my court. What do you want to do? I just wanted to have visitations, because I wanted to work. I wanted my freedom, but I also wanted to be a part of my child's life.
Right.
So what happened is, through that process, I heard the judge say, custody's not established. And I was like, what? So, he said it, and I didn't know that. You have the right to always, if you don't have the marriage situation, you have the right to say, hey, I want custody. It's not as easy as that. You have to show why and have a good reason. But, most of the time it's just good to have a joint custody or visitation.
Okay. What would be some of the reasons that you would have custody that legally would give you that opportunity?
Outstanding question, man. I had several cases with ACS, and one of the things
ACS, you got to define what these acronyms are.
ACS, Child Services.
Okay.
Child Services came in one day and they told me I had child services, and first thing they did when we went to court, she said I used drugs. I have a past history, recovering, addict. And I took the drug test and it came back, negative. But what I was saying is, as far as the things that will have you in a better position to get your kid as a man, is probably most likely is something as far as she goes to prison. Now, I was told by ACS, if the parent is an addict, literally you go to a house and she's smoking whatever. And long as the kid is fed and food is in the refrigerator, they ain't gonna do nothing. She can smoke all she want. And I found that to be crazy. But that's what it is. So the option how I got custody was that she started off, when I had visitation, I'm gonna keep on the timeline to answer your question. When I had visitation, she was getting locked up. So what happened is she first was a week. She come out of Rikers Island and I would just give her the child back. Then it was 2 weeks. Then it was 3 weeks. Then it turned into 2 months. And then it was constantly, I gave the child back. Why? Because I still have visitation, and now I'm establishing, you see? Right. I'm documenting.
Right.
I'm building my case. Not because I wanted to snatch the kid. It's because I knew at one point I would have to step in. And I was only told by a person that was my therapist who used to work for ACS. And one of my therapist sessions, she said, Manuel, from what you're telling me, you better prepare yourself. And I'm going to tell you what you need to do. When you go in front of ACS, don't let them put you in a box. The box is we all alike. So when I went in front of ACS, they tried to put me in a box. Just like she said, and I said, hold on, listen. Did I come in here with my pants sagging? Did I come in here with my hat backwards or talking? I came in here as a respectable man with some dignity and ready to fight for my child. So don't put me in a box. Okay, but why don't you take your baby's mother said you have an anger problem. Would you like to take anger management? And I said, why would I take anger management if I don't have an anger problem? What are you trying to do to me? And I'm gonna share this because this is a trap off.
Right.
Because once you take, even voluntary, because they said, well, it's voluntary. We're not asking you, demanding. We want you to do it voluntarily. And I said, no. Okay. And what happened is that once you're on the books for anger management, they're going to use that against you.
You documented
anger.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a trap off. So I didn't fall for that trap. But ultimately, I started building, getting the house ready, buying different things, staying vigilant, and Eventually, she started catching bids, and one day she got remanded, and I just went for custody, and that wasn't easy. I'm going to tell you, first she was on the island and she's at Bedford. So what happened was they made me put money on her books. And I was like, hold up, I'm not married to Yana. And my lawyer's like, calm down. You have to, the ultimate goal is to get custody. Don't lose the focus. Don't let the little tidbits, because what they want to see you do is get angry. And once you get angry, it solidifies you as what the mother was saying. So you have to watch that, even when it turning your stomach, because why would I put money in the books? I ain't married to her. So that was one of the issues I let that. And then they told me I had to take the child to Bedford, which I had a problem with because she was so young. But since, the judge explained to me that it had a nice visitation area, and I was about keeping my daughter close to, contact with her mom. It was always about that. Whether we had our problems, because let me tell you, I was locked up 4 times with fake domestic charges. I beat every one of them, and it wasn't easy, brother. It could have been one of those times that I didn't beat it, and I would have been doing state time, just on some phoniness. So I just forgave her. It was hard at the time, but I took my child to Bedford. It was cool up there. We had good times. We was cordial. And then when the order subsided and I didn't have to bring her, I still brought her. I was like, listen, I'm pro family, pro motherhood, pro all of that. The thing is, it was a lot of injustices that the Supreme Court judge was serving me with. So
was it the Supreme Court justice, or was it just the law that was impeding men from getting outside of that box that they were actually creating for them?
That's a great question. I feel like it was more of both. I think the system is a little slated. They tell me it's turning the other way, but I still feel is slated towards the woman, and it's getting better for men. But I think it was the system. It's just the judges. Like I had once the Supreme Court judge that I had, when she had a coffee, she had a latte, she was good to go, right? I noticed that. But when she didn't have a latte, she wasn't good to go. It was a Hispanic brother. He came in court because what I did was I used to sit on other people's cases to see, what's going on, to get tips.
Yeah.
So I sat on this brother's case. He was a Latino brother. I don't know if he had a drug problem or whatever, but I know the judge told him, why don't you go clean yourself up and get into your child's life and stop getting high? He said out and open. What I didn't understand is that my daughter's mother had a long history of shoplifting.
Wow.
But she never said, why don't you go get some help for your shoplifting before you want to be in your daughter's life? She didn't say that. So I see, I seen the biases in there. So what happened is eventually they dragged the case out. She had maybe 23 months. They dragged it out to like 18 or 19 until my lawyers and my daughter's lawyer said, hey, Yana, what are we doing here? Like, she can't have the child in prison. Where she went wrong is she wanted to have custody. She fought for custody while she was in prison, which was a big mistake. The judge actually gave her the tip, like, why would you do that? Like, the judge don't even supposed to tell you that. That's why you got lawyers. But she chose to do it, and it worked for my benefit, and I got custody. And after custody, I wrote a 10-page letter on this judge, which I followed up like every other week, and the letter sat there, and they didn't know what to do with the letter because they said nobody writes. They don't know. Eventually, I got away from the Supreme Court judge and moved on to another judge, which wasn't any better. One of the judges, we went to court, and I had the child picked up from my house, and my baby's mother told the judge she didn't want to keep coming to my house, so she told the judge she felt threatened in my neighborhood, and I told the judge, she lives right down the block. We have the same neighborhood, and like, how do you feel threatened in my neighborhood? So the judge, this is where I say they tell you it's about the kid, but it's really not. For instance, on that one statement she made without no police report, without any damage or incident or anything. One statement with no facts behind it. The judge moved my daughter to a precinct, which we left, and he put her back. So what I did was, and I made statements like, why is it that my child, that I have to take her to Bedford, and then I have to take her to a precinct, reinforcing handcuffs, crime scene, criminals come in. Is that what you're trying to enforce to a young black girl? And after I wrote that to the judge and to my daughter's lawyer, it was wrapped the next proceeding. My daughter's lawyer's like, nah, take out the precinct. In family court, you're going to come upon those obstacles, but you have to believe in yourself and what is your purpose.
Yeah, but one of the things that I'm hearing very clearly in how you responded to these things is that you didn't respond with anger. You didn't respond with, getting like loud and boisterous. You took the avenues that were available to you to challenge those things that you felt was unfair. And that is the move. That is the part of the story that I would like to highlight to the men who may be in this situation, who may face the same obstacles that you face. You got to use what's available to challenge what you feel is wrong. Because a lot of times, we have these people representing these agencies, and a lot of times people bring their nonsense with them to the workforce.
Absolutely.
And they do things that they shouldn't do. And they'll get away with it until you challenge them the right way, which is what you did.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's not easy because sometimes it hits you deep when you know you're being taken advantage of or disrespect. And then, a lot of us from the street, we bring that mentality, but you got no wins that way.
Nah, you got no wins. No, they expect you to come that way.
They expect you to come that way. That's the trap off.
Right.
See, let me tell you something about family court, and I'm not going to say this about, the system I find sometimes as a circus. And when I say that is because they'll say one thing and then they'll show you another, right? They'll tell you it's about your kid, but they'll put your kid in a precinct. With guys coming through there that's crazy as heck. So the point is I'm trying to make is you're absolutely right. You have to, and it didn't come easy. It came through experience.
And advice, right?
And advice
from
advice, people told me, but also I had to use your brain. The people can tell you all they want, but if you don't cipher the information and put it in action, it don't work. Because I told my cousin, man, stop hanging on 10th Avenue. You got a new son, and stop trying to rekindle the past when you was kingpin and all that. And he still went out there and he's doing his 4th bid.
Wow.
It broke my heart because at one time I told him, and I said, you know what, you're a grown man. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that hasn't worked for you in the past.
Right.
And I can tell you, you got a little kid that you told me that jump in your arms when you come home, right? So what's more important, hanging out with the homeboys on the avenue or making sure you see your kid every day? And that's the conscious decision I make every day that I told my daughter, no matter what, I'm going to stay in her life. I'm not going to let another man raise my daughter. So I make a conscious decision every day I go outside not to get caught up in the BS.
Right.
Right.
But you got a why. You got a why you do things. We got a reason.
We have a reason. And a lot of times, listen, when I was out there ripping and running, I had a reason. But I still ripped and running. Sometimes you got it through experience, through just surrendering. There's a lot to do with surrendering. When I worked for Osborne Association, right? I was working with dudes that had 25. They was coming out doing long bids. And they was buffing up. Some of them still had that mentality, and they were talking mess. And you know what I said? I refused to give up my $38 an hour job, trying to make a point, or trying to reinforce my ego.
Right.
So I ate that. They didn't touch me. It was just a lot of rah-rah.
Right.
But the one thing I said is, I got a new car, I got an apartment, I got a daughter, I got to feed. So whatever you talking about, I can't deviate off track.
Right.
People reinforce what I was doing. I had brothers that said, yo, you're a good dad, keep doing what you're doing. I had a support group that kept me, when I fell down, that kept me up and said, yo, I know how you feel because I went through that, but keep fighting, And what I did to give back, this is what I did. When I had go to family court, I would hear sisters talk. Oh, I want to change my judge. How do you change the judge? And I go, yeah, you can change the judge. but you got to have a good reason. It's not because you're not getting your way, because it's never about getting your way. It's about coming to an agreement, a balance. That's what the court's about. But as long as you feel that there's an injustice and you got a good reason, sure you can, because I did it 3 times. Like one instance, I went in the bathroom, there was this brother just in there crying. Short cat like me, so right away I identified. He was crying. I said, what's happening, man? He's like, I just came from Texas, and, you know, I got to come here because this is where the child live, and, you know, I'm this and that, and he's boo-hooing. And I told him, listen, it's going to be all right, bro, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do. Stay vigilant. If you stay the course, you might not get what you want right now, but you will get it eventually. Trust me, because it happened to me. Stay there and fight. Keep fighting. One thing about that system is if you stay the course, they can't deny you because you have a right to be in your kid's life. And the more you get yourself and show them what you're doing, because they told me, the first thing they said about me is that I get high. That was the first thing that came out their mouth, and I said, did you, that's the old me. And y'all in the past. Check out the new me. Man, I got certifications. Osborne done put me in so many programs. I got like 10 certifications. I'm at NA. I'm doing all the stuff. I got the crib. Like, come on with that, man. That's clown stuff, right. You know? So when you put yourself on track, we talking about being in your kid's life, because not everybody wants you to. And sometimes it's about child support. You see, I learned that they don't want a man to have custody because they missing that child support, you know, and that's deep. That's one of the reasons. I just want to say how I give back to the community is being an example. And how I'm an example is that I was always with my daughter, and the guys in the neighborhood, even the hustlers, run up to me. Brother, I'm spending more time with my kid because I see you with your daughter. Right. My man, you don't know, it was all worth it after that. I can get goosebumps, bro. My daughter's getting older and she's, you know, having her little moments. But, you know, it's the sisters around me. First it was the brothers who uplift me. Now it's the sisters who keep me on course. Like, man, you know, she on her, you know, her you know, I don't want to say the word. You got to watch out because she's going through this period. And I was like, oh, my God, I never thought about that. And then there's the sisters that big me up, you know, and help me. So I appreciate the sisters. And I also want to say, man, you know, listen, I had a lot of problems with my daughter's mother. I still do. But one thing I know, she loves her daughter. And as long as she loves her daughter, I'm going to support that.
Yeah, but you know what? There's many reasons why we wanted you on the show today, but one of the main reasons is that you exemplify what we would look to a black man to be, somebody that's vigilant, as you had mentioned on many occasions, to what's really important, and that is his future generation. And I think that you outlined that perfectly. And for the men who are listening, who are going to come out, and you have young children, or you're going to experience these legal issues with custody and angry or obstinate mother, you know, just like you said, stay vigilant, and you have to fight for what's important. And we spoke about what the meaning of success is on this show many of occasions. And it's the same thing. You never, ever give up. You want to be successful in anything, you just never, ever give up. You just keep moving until you get what you want. And that's exactly what your story is.
My dad, God bless his soul, Mr. Mavion Shugmore, took care of 5 kids. He was a single father. He took care of 5 kids, and 2 weren't even his. So what he did for me is that he took me out to inner city, and he brought me to the suburbs. He showed me, you know, a different part of life. But he always reinforced, even though when I wasn't listening, he reinforced all the good things. Stay with the winners. Make sure you're hanging out with people that's working so they can help you get a job. If you put your hand on the fire and it burns you, why would you put your hand? That was his favorite line, because I used to relapse so much. He's like, he didn't understand that. I really appreciate him now when he's gone, I'm like, oh my God, if I would have took like 5% of everything he said, I would have took a better road. I had, even when I was out there, I had that instilled in me. So all I had to do was come out the fog because I already had inside. I had the tools that he prepared. May he rest in paradise. To my dad, I miss him. Getting a little teary-eyed, but it's okay. My brothers and my cousins and all those gentlemen who have kids and helped me through, touchy situations. Because I had a daughter that passed away, and that kind of put my fatherhood in a different light. I was an older gentleman, and I didn't have no kids, and I had a daughter that passed. So what I did was, I saw the red flags, but I didn't care. It was about, man, I just need a kid. And I love my daughter. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the future, what happens with us men is we don't take time to find out who our partners are, even when they show that that's not going to be the one. We have to be more responsible when we have these kids. I want to just say that as a father. Because, I even though I love my daughter, I seen a lot of red flags, right? And I ignored them just because the emptiness. Child support, fighting over nonsense, and some of these guys, they never get out of that till late. And there's a lot of years that you did a lot of fighting, right, when you could have you could have avoided that. I just want to give that shout out to all the fellas that help support me and that's doing the right thing. I want to shout out my dad, and also I had to shout out my sister, Valerie, 453 Main Street. And why I'm going to shout her out is More Hair Salon is that it's full of women, and that's where I had an issue with when I was young. When I came through the programs, I had women issues, bro. That's because, I had certain issues with my stepmom, and I work on myself, and they helped me, and it's a good thing, man. And they helped me with my daughter, so I appreciate that. That's how God works.
That's how God works, man.
Yeah.
God works the way it's supposed to work out. But, I thank you for coming on the show. You did a bang-up job. You did exactly what I thought you would do. And I'm pretty sure that the men who are listening, they have obtained a better view of not only the system, but some of the things that they may or have gone through that they will be better equipped to deal with now because of what you had shared with them. So thank you very much. And, this is just one of the examples of bringing people from the community to Voices Beyond the Wall to speak to our listening audience. And our listening audiences are men who are still inside, men who are formerly incarcerated, and their families. This is the information that they need. They need to hear many stories. They need to hear the millions of stories that comprise people who take this journey on the negative side of the criminal justice system. Because there's so many issues and there's so many nuances to this that we will never be able to tell all of the stories, but we will do our best to tell the most important ones and share it with our listening audience, because what we do is going to have an impact on how they will become or what they will do once they get out. I'm certain of that.
And they're going to do amazing things.
Of course.
I've seen some brothers come home and do amazing things. I have a good feeling and outlook for brothers that come home because they're so powerful in what they're trying to do, and they're so powerful as people. So, unfortunately, we make mistakes, but that doesn't define who we are.
That's right.
You come out and you put your best foot forward and you make an impact in the community, and the blessings come, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
One of the most greatest things that we have as human beings that we don't give enough credit to is our ability to make a change in our lives. Our ability to say, no, I'm not going to be this way anymore. I'm going to be this way. Our ability to change. Our ability to become better than what we used to be. That's one of the greatest things that we as humans have. But at the same time, we lose track of that power that we have. We have the power to change any day,
Anytime.
at any time.
At any time. And I just want to commend you on, your course and the example you're setting. And when I met you, you laid out some projects, and man, I was really impressed, bro. Of course, I had to stay calm and collective, but brother, you inspire me, and it's an honor to know you. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to ask me to share my story. I appreciate it, really.
Hey, it's an honor for you to be here, man, because we all do our part, and we all are part of a great thing. But I got some people calling up. I know that a lot of them that are calling up, they're going to want to respond to you and Jamie and some of the other things that was said. So if you guys can, just hang around a little bit, because we're going to open the phone lines now. It's 5:09. I guess we're 9 minutes late. The phone lines are open. The telephone number is 845-437-7178. Eddie, I know you've been burning the call up. Call up. Let me hear what you got to say. All right, this is Wadu. Wadu, what's going on, brother?
Hey,
What's up, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How you doing, brother?
I'm well. So what's going on, Wadu? Talk to us.
Oh man, where do I start? I mean, it's so much going on right now, but